The night was cold, the air thick with the scent of rain-soaked earth. Aahil drove through the narrow mountain road, his heart heavy with memories. He had sworn never to return to Blackwood Mansion, but an invitation had arrived, one written in the familiar, delicate handwriting of Aylin, the woman he had loved and lost a year ago. Aylin had vanished without a trace on a stormy night, and despite endless searches, no one had found her. Yet here in his hands was a letter with her name signed at the bottom. "Come to Blackwood at midnight, I am waiting." The mansion stood on a cliff overlooking the restless ocean. Once filled with warmth and laughter, it was now a graveyard of forgotten dreams. Aahil stepped out of his car, his breath visible in the chilling mist. The grand door creaked open as if expecting him. Inside, the air was thick with dust and silence, but then, a whisper. "Aahil, you came." His heart nearly stopped. He turned, and there she was, Aylin standing at the top of the grand staircase in her favorite white dress. Her eyes glowed with an eerie light, and her smile was both warm and unsettling. "You disappeared," Aahil choked out. "Everyone thought you were dead." Aylin descended the stairs slowly, her footsteps soundless. "I was always here, waiting for you. Something felt wrong." The air around her shimmered, and as Aahil reached out, his hand passed right through her. She wasn't alive. Aahil stumbled back, his mind racing. This wasn't real. It couldn't be. "I need to know the truth, Aylin," he whispered, his voice shaking. "What happened to you?" Aylin's expression darkened. "You left me," she said. "That night you were supposed to come back, but you didn't." Aahil felt a wave of guilt crash over him. He had planned to propose to Aylin that night, but a sudden emergency had kept him away. When he returned, she was gone. Tears shimmered in Aylin's eyes. "I waited, Aahil, but something else found me first." A chilling gust of wind swept through the mansion, and the candles flickered. Shadows stretched unnaturally, moving on their own. Aahil heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, circling him. He turned, but there was no one there. Then Aylin spoke again, her voice barely a whisper. "It won't let me go." The walls groaned, and the temperature dropped. The shadows merged into a shape, tall, faceless, with hollow eyes that bled darkness. Aahil felt its cold breath on his neck. "You shouldn't have come back," Aylin said, her voice filled with sorrow. "Now it wants you too." The entity lunged. Aahil barely managed to dodge as the air around him thickened like invisible hands trying to drag him down. The mansion groaned, the doors slamming shut. "Aylin, help me!" he shouted. Aylin looked tormented. "I can't fight it, Aahil. I belong to it now." "No," Aahil said, stepping closer despite the crushing fear. "I won't leave you again." The shadows tightened around Aylin, pulling her back. She screamed, her voice a mixture of pain and longing. "If you stay, you'll be trapped here forever." The entity's voice slithered through the air. "Love or freedom, Aahil, choose." Aahil's heart pounded. He reached for Aylin, his fingers brushing against hers, cold, fading. Tears burned in his eyes. "I love you," he whispered. Aylin smiled, but it was filled with sorrow. "Then live for me." A violent force threw Aahil backward, and darkness swallowed him. When he awoke, he was outside the mansion, the sun rising over the cliffs. Blackwood stood silent once more, its doors forever closed. Aahil looked down at his hand. Aylin's ring rested in his palm. The wind whispered around him, carrying her final words. "Goodbye, my love." And then she was gone,